Hey yo, what up? I teach at Sepehr Club. This is gonna be my Windmill tutorial for everyone in case I don't get time to personally teach everyone. Alright. So first things first, you have to stretch. Obviously, two most important parts to stretch: your inner thigh and your wrists. So yeah, just do some. These should be self-explanatory. Do some inner thigh stretches. I've already stretched it out, but do some wrist stretches, etc. Alright. So, sort of prerequisite for learning windmills is being able to do hang glide to baby freeze, which looks like this. So yeah, you really need to be able to do that so you have enough control in order to start learning windmills. But if you already have that, then you can go ahead and start. So the first step is going to be your wind up. So you're going to start on the floor in the hang glide position, but you're going to keep your feet on the ground. And I'm teaching this clockwise, so yeah. So if we're going clockwise, you're going to start in the hang glide position, and then you're going to kind of torque your body. You're going to twist your body so you're facing sideways. And then you're going to bend your right foot, and you're going to keep your left foot like with its sole on the ground to give you that sort of lift off. And then after this position, you're going to lift off with both your feet like this. And that's really important. You can see how I turn my body a little bit. It gives me that initial momentum before I kick my feet. So yeah, and if you can't do that without your head on the ground, then you can go ahead and practice it with your head on the ground. So you can go like that. But remember to have this turn, because that gives you the initial momentum. So after you practice that wind up, then it's time to learn the collapse. Now the collapse for a windmill, in my opinion, the best way to think about it is it's two distinct different parts. So the first part is when you're in hang glide, and you're going to use not just your stabbing arm, but your other arm also to kind of elevate you off the ground. Get your legs and butt high off the ground. So when you're in this position, you're going to use your arms and legs, lift off the ground like this. That's the first part of the collapse. And after you lift off the ground, the second part of the collapse is you're going to collapse your hand like this. So it should end up like this under your body. Right? So I'll demonstrate. The first part, you're here, lift off the ground, and then go. And then collapse down. One more time. You're going to be here, lift off the ground, and then go. And the purpose of lifting off the ground is, I'm kind of exaggerating it right now when I'm showing you, but the purpose of lifting off the ground is so that your kicking leg has enough room to, kick through. And I'm going to show you what that means. With the next step is basically the kick. And when you kick, when you're doing a windmill, you have to kind of imagine like you're kicking a soccer ball. When you're kicking a soccer ball, you wind your leg up, you bend it, you wind it up, and then you kick it. So far we've done the wind up, bending it and winding it up. So now it's the kick. And when you're kicking, you have to imagine you're trying to kick your head. So like if your head is here when you're starting the windmill, you have to imagine you're going to kick your leg all the way through and kick your head, which is right here. Because if you imagine it like that, then you'll kick all the way through instead of kicking and then stopping and making your hit the ground. Right? And so, like I said, what the lifting in the collapse does is it gives you more room so you can kick through without your leg hitting the floor. Alright? So I'm going to demonstrate just the kick. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to wind up. I'm going to do the wind up, lift, like this. I'm kicking all the way through. All the way through. So this is, don't do this. Don't wind up and then lift and then kick and then just give up on it and not kick all the way through and just finish it like this. That's not good. You want to kick all the way through and imagine you're kicking your head. Alright, so I'm gonna demonstrate all the different things that I talked about so far. Alright, so first step, wind up, lift, kick all the way through, and collapse. And so the timing for this is really when you lift, you do the first part of the collapse, you lift, and then as soon as you kick, you're going to do the second part of the collapse, and you're going to go down. And this helps you get higher up on your back, alright? And that's how you do the beginning of the windmill. Alright, now I'm going to teach how to get into the second mill, and then I'm going to tell you guys about some common mistakes that people make. Alright, so in order to get to the second mill, after you're on your back, first of all, you should never be like this with your head scrunched in and your legs like out in front of you. You should be like this. Your legs shouldn't be all the way here, and it shouldn't be all the way down. It should be in the middle. But your head should be like looking up, not like this. So when you're here, when you're coming around, you're gonna use your right leg, which is your kicking leg, and you're gonna push it to the sky like this, and that kind of gives you a little push, gives your upper body a little push this way, and you're gonna use that momentum and your head. This is really important. You have to use your head and your left shoulder. So it's gonna look like this. You're coming around. You're gonna use your right foot, and you're gonna push like that. Right? A good thing to practice. It's kind of this motion. It's really awkward to be practicing it, but it kind of helps to practice this motion because your hips are also involved. You're gonna come around, hips, shoulder, head, and then go to the next one. Now obviously right there I put my foot down because I'm doing it with no momentum. But yeah, ideally your legs shouldn't come down. And that's how you go into the second mill. You use the momentum from your right foot, go up, head, shoulder, and go to the next mill. Now some tips and tricks and stuff that a lot of people make mistakes on. First of all, when you do windmills, you need to keep your hands tight. You need to keep your hands tight. So when you're coming around, your hands need to be tight. Hold on. So your hands need to be tight. So when you're coming around, you can catch and then go to the next one. Because if your hands aren't tight and they're just like chilling, you're not going to be ready to go to the next one. So keep your hands tight like this, tight. Another tip is make sure you use your left hand when you're kicking and collapsing. A lot of times people just like put their left hand there and it doesn't do anything for them, but your left hand is actually important because, for example, when you wind up and you're about to go, you use your left hand to pull yourself, and then also use it in the collapse. When basically you collapse like this, so you use it, pull yourself, and you collapse. Like I can actually feel my left hand pushing off against the ground when I'm doing the collapse and when I'm kicking. So make sure you're using your left hand. But that being said, I don't want you to be doing like a turtle freeze with both hands stopped and then trying to go into a windmill, because that's not how it's done. But that's one trick. Another mistake a lot of people make is they bring their head in. Bringing your head in when you're trying to do a mill is gonna make you smash your hip on the floor. So watch with my head, bringing my head in. I'm gonna try to bring my head in, and obviously I'm not gonna be able to roll right on my shoulders because I'm like this. What do you expect, right? And it's part of human nature to keep your head off the ground, but you have to just keep practicing and drill it into your body that when you're doing this, your head needs to be low to the ground. You can't scrunch it in like this, or else you're gonna bang your hip. Second mistake a lot of people make, when they're kicking, they don't keep their legs straight. And that's also natural because you're about to like go on the floor, it's natural to curl up. But if you don't keep your legs straight, it's more likely that you're gonna bang your hip on the floor. So if you don't keep your legs straight when you're kicking, it's gonna be something like that, and you're gonna bang your hip. And I'm not talking about just your right leg, I'm talking about your left leg also. Both legs need to stay straight for you to be able to kick all the way around and go on your back. And other mistakes. Oh, this is also very common. When people try to go into the next mill, this is what they'll do. Instead of keeping their head low to the ground and using their head, they'll get here, and then they'll literally like reach over like this. Like this. That's completely wrong. Like this is not how you do a windmill. It needs to be around like that. Like that. You don't reach in and towards the floor. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And the rest is practice. And that's really important. Practice, practice, practice. It could get hard sometimes if you injure your hip or your wrist or stuff, but it's just practice and it'll come eventually. So yeah, that's it for my Windmill tutorial.